Hello and welcome to Inside Indiana Business. I'm Gary Dick. Spring, the busiest time of year for the residential real estate market, from buyers and sellers to renters and flippers. Everyone wants a piece of the real estate pie. And for the next hour, we'll explore the Indiana trends, challenges, and opportunities in this sometimes volatile industry. Nearly a decade after the housing crisis of 2008, home prices are up, foreclosures are down, house flippers are in, and millennials are moving out of their parents' basements and into the market. And for more on the highs and lows of the housing market and where we stand in Indiana right now, I'm pleased to be joined by Berkshire Hathaway Home Services Indiana Realty Manager Greg Cooper. Greg, as always, welcome to the program.
Great to be here.
Okay, I want to talk about some good news, really, but let's start with the bad. About a decade ago, that housing bubble burst. How bad? 2008, 7, 8, 9? How bad did it get?
We noticed at the end of 2008 something strange was afoot. It became full-blown in 2008, and it was awful. Yeah. So many people losing their houses, so many people in desperate straits to keep their houses. Yeah. A very, very tough time.
And foreclosures here in Indiana in particular were very, very big.
We were at the top of the country's list there for some period of time. Yes, absolutely.
All right, let's fast forward to today. How would you describe the housing market? I know it's very active.
It has, and it's changed so much even in the last 24 to 36 months in the respect that our new construction is ramping up. We're getting a lot of new home choices for consumers, and a lot of properties that have been dated and somewhat obsolete are getting flipped and redone and re-entering the marketplace.
Were there lessons learned, do you think, from the crash 10 years ago?
I think there were lessons learned. I'm not so sure how closely we're adhering to them, but the market, I don't think, is quite acting in the same way as it did prior to the last crash.
Okay, let's look at some of the trends that you're seeing in the Indiana residential real estate market. Home flipping, flips, big issue?
Used to be. When we first started walking out of the crash, it was $70,000, $90,000, $140,000 homes that were getting bought and repurposed. And now you'll see it across almost every price point. We're 10 years further along from the building boom of the early 2000s. A lot of those homes 10, 12, 15 years later look dated. And so now the newer kitchen styles, the newer bathroom styles have been put in, and they're being repurposed, and in great cases they've been resold for high values.
So in terms of amenities, you're seeing those trends of master bedrooms, bathrooms, kitchens, those are big.
Used to be kitchen was everything, and kitchen's still statistically very important, but that master suite and kitchen, because of the high quality of amenities available, now they're running on almost at an even parallel.
You and I have talked a lot about an inventory issue. How would you describe the market? Is it a seller's market now?
It is by and large still a seller's market. I mean, if you're selling your home and you hear this and you're thinking, I only had a couple of showings last week, what's the deal? It's not absolutely universal, but by and large, the trend is sellers who have a great home that's updated, you're going to have an excellent opportunity to demand top value.
Are there certain price points, price ranges in that, determining whether it is a seller's market or not?
Depending upon your geography within the state and within the region, obviously. Yeah. As you go up through the $200,000, $300,000, $400,000 range, those are all incredibly active price points. You get beyond $500,000. It's a little bit less significant in terms of each area may have its own level of demand.
Okay, how about financing? How is it easier to get financing now?
Yeah, I say this unfortunately, and I'm the real estate broker, and I'm not supposed to say that, but the reality is that we have really gone back to a lot of loans that are somewhat easy to get, and that always worries us a little bit after what we've been through.
So, you know, on the one hand, you say good news for those wanting to buy a home and get financing, but that's one of the things that got us into the problems a decade ago, right?
Yeah, there are a lot of things that contributed to the problem a decade ago. Easy financing was one. I don't think we've reached some kind of critical mass yet with the manner in which that financing is taking place, but it's certainly something that we have to watch.
All right, here's one that is a real surprise to me, and you're seeing as a big issue right now in closings and real estate transactions. Wire fraud.
Yeah. People don't understand that bad guys can get in front of your money in a lot of different ways, and here's how it's happening. Bad guys watch for emails that contain real estate and settlement statements and closings and escrows and wire amounts, and they will hack into these accounts. They will go so simple as to change routing and account numbers. We've had instances where money coming from title companies, in some cases, the actual information was changed and nearly got wired to an offshore account. We were able to stop a couple of those.
How serious? This is a serious issue.
Well, when you think about all the proceeds from the home that you're in at your real estate closing, potentially vanishing into thin air, it's a huge deal.
Yeah, so that's one to keep an eye on, is this wire fraud issue going forward. Final question, Greg, 2017, the outlook as you look going forward. You're painting a pretty positive picture right now. How about for the rest of 2017?
We're going to see a slow escalation of home mortgage rates, and in addition to the general cost of borrowing money going to get a little more expensive. And that may not be a terrible, terrible thing in the respect that we will go from a very hardcore seller's market in many cases to perhaps where buyers and sellers are doing it a little bit more more out of necessity instead of simply there's an opportunity.
Okay, great perspective, Greg. As always, we'll have you back a little bit later in the show on the Insiders. Thanks very much.
Looking forward to it.
All right. Well, thanks for watching Inside Indiana Business on YouTube. For the latest statewide business news, be sure to visit InsideIndianaBusiness.com and subscribe to our free daily e-newsletters by clicking on the link.